Good evening. Calling to order our regularly scheduled City Council meeting for the City of Rochester. Today is May 12th. City Clerk, the roll call, please.
Salvia.
Here.
Vixen.
Here.
Hauser.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
King. Here. Sage.
Here.
Trent.
Here. Thank you. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, it is a beautiful night in Rochester, and I hope everyone had a wonderful Mother's Day. The park, everything was just hopping in town this weekend. It was wonderful, beautiful. Spring has arrived, thank goodness. So tonight we have a couple of scheduled presentations. But before we do we have any public comment for anything that is not on the agenda tonight? Sir, please approach the podium.
Thank you. Try not to take too much time. There's more exciting things to talk about. I had a question.
Could you state your name and address, please?
First name was Michael, last name was Marcotte, M-A-R-C-O-T-T-E. I live at 352 Romeo, downtown. And we got a letter in the mail, I didn't bring the letter, so I apologize, 10 days ago, about the parking ordinances 25.1 and 25.2. And my wife and I had some concerns with, it was presented last meeting, there was no opportunity for public comment. It's like 10 houses on our block and like 6 houses on the other block, but it felt very cold. It was 16 houses, and I know this wasn't intentional, but it was like dear resident. On Romeo Street, the 10 houses are all owner occupied. It seems like someone could have done a quick search, Mr. and Mrs. Marcotte. We're writing to inform you that, come to the meeting the 12th. We'd like to hear your comments. We're gonna change the way the parking works on your street. I know that the double lines were put in last year right in front of our house. And one of the comments was in the letter that it's illegal to cross the double lines and they don't want the parking there for safety reasons and snow plowing. My kids trick or treat at Mr. Bixen's house. The streets on that side of Romeo are terrible in the winter. Our street isn't too bad. I know of one car that used to park there, and I know there was one there this winter because there was a healthcare aide that was helping somebody, and the driveway that's being used is nearly inaccessible. So I don't expect them changing anything tonight, but it sure would have been nice to have more personal notification or even an opportunity for public comment. I couldn't get any of my neighbors to come down because the Tigers were up 2-0 when I walked in the door. There was, more pressing things to do at home, or everyone's pulling weeds or whatever. But it was kind of disappointing, and I don't know if there's a vote tonight on it or not. But it sure would be nice having 3 girls, 2 are driving age, almost anyways, and one's 8. If we have a birthday party, no one can park on the street anymore. Would be nice if there would have been some notification about maybe we could have a variance for a Saturday from noon to 6. So that the 6 or 8 cars could park on the street, but there was nothing in the letter. It was just kind of this cold, hey, we're putting up signs, best of luck. And I have a single car driveway. I don't have a garage or anything, so kind of inconvenient, and I know it's only my problem because it's only my street, but it sure felt really bad. And we've been in this, my parents owned this house in '86, my wife and I bought it from my mom and dad in 2009, so I've been here for basically my entire life. It still feels like a small community, but that letter was kind of this kick in the face of thanks for your property taxes, by the way. So that was my comment. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for coming, making your public comment. When we did pass that, there was a concern in terms of did we give enough public notice on this? So I think Chief George maybe will have some follow-up, and that's kind of how we directed it. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Is there any other public comment? Is there any public comment from anyone calling in? I'm thinking there's Brian behind the screen.
There are no callers.
No callers. Thank you. All right, so we will move on to item A on our public comment scheduled presentation. We have the New Day Foundation. We've got Jennifer Landers here with the New Day Foundation. I see everyone up here has some information from New Day. So please tell us everything that is happening at this amazing nonprofit in our community.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm going to kind of stand this way so I can both address the council and those in the room and hopefully get picked up on camera too by the microphone. Again, my name's Jennifer Landers. I'm here from New Day Foundation. New Day Foundation, for those of you that are not familiar with it, has been here in our community. We're based here in Rochester, and we're in our 18th year here. We now actually help families going through cancer all throughout the state of Michigan. But I've got some interesting statistics because I know, obviously, Rochester and Oakland County are near and dear to all of our hearts. As we discussed today, like I said, I put some information up with the council. For anybody here, I'm happy to pass out info. I have additional info about some of the events and things that I'm going to talk about as well. As I mentioned, New Day Foundation was founded in 2007 here in Rochester. It was in honor of our two founders' late spouses. So our founders are Gina Kell Spain and her husband Michael Spain. And they lost their first spouses to cancer actually within weeks of each other. And in sitting around their kitchen table as their families came together, they wanted to figure out a way to honor them. And one of the ways that they talked about initially was that they were fortunate in that their employers, their insurance, things like that, they didn't get into financial trouble. But oftentimes, sometimes very quickly, people can get into financial distress when they have cancer. So that's kind of the driving force behind our mission. Our mission is to provide financial and emotional support to families here in Michigan facing cancer. And we are the only nonprofit in the state that covers no matter what type of cancer and no matter who in the family has cancer, whether it's the parent or the child in the household. We help two-income families, single-parent families. There's no discrimination with that. And we have an application process and everything is vetted through our board as far as how we provide the financial assistance and grants. We are 100% grant and donation funded. In 2024, we passed some significant milestones, having raised more than $10 million in our existence and having helped more than 10,000 families. As of January 2025, we're up over 12,000. And like I said, I have provided and brought some Oakland County specific statistics too. Just in 2024 alone, we helped 72 families here in Oakland County, providing more than $81,000 in grants. Our average grant size per family is more than $2,000, and again, that's determined on a case-by-case basis. But it can include help with paying a mortgage, paying a rent payment, paying utility bills. We help with expenses of daily living so they can focus on their treatment and getting better. New Day partners with hospitals all throughout the state of Michigan. The primary way that families get referred to us is through their social workers in the hospital. So we partner with all of them. If they are not in our network, they are welcomed in, and we have partnerships with all the multi-location hospitals here throughout Michigan, including in rural areas as well. So I mentioned earlier, regardless of socioeconomic status, financial fallout from a cancer diagnosis can be devastating. We often hear from families that they knew they could survive the cancer, but they didn't know if they could survive financially. And there's a term in the cancer world called financial toxicity. And what that basically boils down to, what that basically means is if families don't have the funds to pay their bills, to pay their car notes so they can get to treatment, the devastating news is that cancer is much more deadly. So that's why we step in, that's why we help with those expenses. And we also have, in addition to our financial programs, we have an emotional support program where families can receive, we have a network of therapists all throughout the state, including several different languages and cultures that provide free or reduced care therapy to our families. And again, it doesn't matter who in the family. You know, sometimes a child is needing to talk to a therapist because their mom is going through cancer and they're trying to work through that and deal with it. So we're happy to partner them up and get them the support that they need. We also partner with a lot of our great grocery chains here in Michigan, Meijer, Kroger, even locally Bush's, to help with grocery support. So during the pandemic, we actually had volunteers, because obviously a lot of our families are immune compromised. We had volunteers buying and delivering groceries. We still continue that support now with grocery gift cards, so that way families can get what they need, get healthy groceries delivered to their house, and again, focus on their treatment and getting better. These are just some statistics on kind of the way we do what we do and where the money goes. About 55% goes towards housing and keeping people in their houses, about 17% towards food and groceries, 13% towards utilities, and 13% towards transportation. Again, all of those critical living expenses, so they can focus on getting better. I mentioned earlier, we have an online process. Most families come through their social workers, but for example, we just got a phone call today of somebody that found out about us here in the community, and how could they receive our help? So sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's an inquiry through our website, but we get them through the process either way, and then find out what coverage and what eligibility that they might have through us. Finally, one thing that I wanted to talk to all of you about, and for those listening in the meeting too, are some great events. So how you can get involved here in the community. I know lots of you have businesses, have homes here in the community. We have 3 key fundraisers. I mentioned we are totally grant and donation supported. We have a golf event this July at the Wingate. We have our Woodhouse 5K for New Day right here in Rochester Municipal Park, also in July. And then in October, we have our signature gala event, which I had heard a couple of you have attended in the past. It's a celebrity lip sync battle. So if you're not familiar with the concept, if you've ever watched Jimmy Fallon on TV, it kind of came from his show. We do it locally. So we have lots of fun local TV, radio personalities, sometimes from our local government too. Mark Hackle won it a couple years ago from our Macomb County government. And it's all a great night to benefit our families. We have silent auctions and things like that too. So we would love to see you, any of you, all of you, especially here at the 5K. Like I said, it's right in the park here. And then we do what we call our Hope for the Holidays to support our families over the holidays with some Christmas support as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing all the great work that you're doing in our community. I noticed on your information that if families need help, they go to foundationforfamilies.org. That's the starting point, and I'm sure they can probably also donate. So whether you need help or you'd like to be a help.
Yes. Yeah, and to your point, we can always use volunteers, so.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you very,
Thanks
very
for
much.
coming, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Our next item, item B, we are going to move that to our May 27th agenda, where we're going to recognize the Dinosaur Hill volunteers. There's some, we just need to move that. Item C, we have a proclamation recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month. This was brought to us by Oakland Community Health Network, who they are one of our strong partners in the community, where when we were I'll say, fighting against to have no pot on Main Street. They were one of the partners that jumped in and educated our residents about how important it was to vote that down. So I'm going to read this proclamation. I personally feel like the words mental health need a rebranding. Sometimes you use the word mental health and everyone takes a step back and it feels very negative. And so I just want to, think about this through a very positive lens. Our health of our community is so important. And so for this month, if we could take one step, one action to focus on our personal mental health or positive mental health. So let me read this proclamation. Whereas mental health includes our emotional, physical, and social well-being, it affects how we think, feel, and act. It also affects how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Whereas mental health is important for individual well-being and vitality, as well as that of our families, communities, and businesses. And whereas nearly 1 in 5 American adults will have a diagnosable mental health condition in any given year, and more than 42.5 million U.S. adults live with anxiety, which is the most common mental health condition in America. Whereas May 1st through May 31st is recognized as Mental Health Awareness Month, the 2025 theme is Turn Awareness into Action, which celebrates the progress we've made recognizing the importance of mental health and provides challenges to turn understanding into meaningful steps towards change. Whereas the organization Oakland Community Health Network joins our national partners in promoting this year's Turn Awareness into Action campaign, and whereas mental health management ensures that individuals can focus on their abilities to live, work, and learn, fully participate, and contribute to our society while promoting diversity, inclusion, and acceptance. And whereas improved systems of care for vulnerable populations, including access to non-emergent and crisis services, advance integrated physical and behavioral health care, along with provider relations, help to fortify services coordinated by that organization, Oakland Community Health Network. So the provider agencies are committed to inspiring hope, empowering people, and strengthening our communities. So therefore, now be resolved that the City of Rochester recognizes May as Mental Health Awareness Month. The City of Rochester calls upon our citizens, our government agencies, our schools to recommit our state to increasing awareness and understanding of mental illness and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental illness to promote recovery and a higher quality of life. So I know we just had a clinic, a health clinic for our young people, and many of you know from reading an article that I published, really a focus on health, whether it be mental, physical, or spiritual health, is really important, and I just encourage everyone to take steps, whether it be talking to a friend, a pastor, a neighbor, and seek help if you need it. Thank you. That's our proclamation. So moving on to our consent agenda, item 5. We have 3 items. We have consideration of the minutes from April 14th and April 28th. Item B is we have consideration to approve the Uplifting Music in the Park event. That's going to be held July 13th at 6 p.m. And we have receipt of the check register. Council, do we have any actions on this?
No, I just,
Councilmember Trent?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated in A, B, and C.
If no one has anything else to say about it.
Motion by Trent to approve the consent agenda.
I support.
Support by Jones. Any discussion? City Clerk, the roll call.
Salvia.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Sage.
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you. We have no old business or tabled items. We have no public hearings. Moving on to, we have a legislative deliberation. This is a consideration of resolution to amend our charter to eliminate city council election primaries. So, City Attorney, if you would like to start this one out.
I would, thank you. Before you today for discussion is a concept of, right now in your charter, it provides for possibly a primary elections that would be triggered if there was one more than twice as many petitioners as seats available. That's the current trigger. The city clerk had mentioned this the possibility of having a primary throughout the last several meetings, and also the idea of perhaps eliminating the primary provisions in the charter. Interesting for me is I didn't know until we looked into it that that primaries are not required, and in fact, I believe there's 8 in Oakland County that the clerk talked to Oakland County to figure out there's only 8 communities in Oakland County that actually have provisions for primaries. So this is not a state law requirement. It's a city charter issue that the city has elected back in the day. So if the city wanted to pursue removing that from the charter, and this kind of takes, with all the changes in the state law on elections, with having in-person, early ballots in person, with the thousands of absentee ballots that are processed, if there's going to be a change, perhaps this is the time to change that. There's definitely expense that occurs with primaries, and the city has already incurred significant expenses with the early voting. Not that early voting applies to primaries, but there is an additional expense that the city has incurred over the last year or so. So the process, if City Council wanted to proceed, would be to, since it's a charter amendment, would be to present it to the voters at the November meeting, or excuse me, November election. And there's a couple steps that take place before that. The state law does require any charter amendments go to the governor's office for review to make sure it's compliant with state law. They don't say, yes, we like it, no, we don't like it. They look at it for compliance, whether it's in proper form and in proper content. And then what that does is actually there's an attorney that's been there forever at the AG's office that does a pre-review for those who have been on council for a period of time. His name's George Elworth. Everyone knows George. So he's always is encouraging municipalities to send things to him to do a pre-review before it goes to the governor's office to then send it to him to review. So it sounds like more steps, but it actually makes the path actually cleaner. That would be the process, is we would send it to, the way it happens is in your packet, there's a resolution. The resolution has its, the form is the one that council has seen before. It provides the authority for charter amendments. And then the first section provides, what it would look like. Essentially, section 5.3 of the charter would be deleted in its entirety, because that's a provision for primary elections. And there's also proposed changes to sections 5.10 and also 5.14. The only changes there is because it references primary. So there's nothing really substantive there other than removing the provisions for nominations in primaries. So section 2 then would be is actually what it is now. So you have, sometimes it looks kind of backwards. So this is how it would look. And then section 2 is how it is now. And then section 3 is the actual ballot language that would be presented. And it's very simple. This one is very simple. The proposed ballot proposal language would be, it is proposed that sections 5.3, 5.10, and 5.14 of the Charter of the City of Rochester be amended to remove language regarding and providing for primary elections. Shall this amendment be, as proposed, be adopted? And then yes or no. That's the form for charter amendments in election ballots. So then it goes through is that the City Council would resolve to have the clerk and myself, we present that through the process, which is the governor's office and the AG's office. And this would be proposed for the November 4, 2025. Nothing magical about that. It's the next major election. So it's before you for discussion. I don't know if the clerk has anything to add to that, but we're here to answer any questions. Definitely a policy decision not something that we're necessarily advocating there's a problem with it, but it's something that came to light, and that's one of our jobs, is to present city council with opportunities to change policy and procedure if city council wants to do that.
City Clerk, anything to add?
Attorney Pratt did a fine job.
He did do a fine job. So there is no primary election this year. There was no primary election triggered, so this, if it were put on the ballot, would be for a future election year. So I guess, from my standpoint, to me, this seems like we have plenty of access for voting, and certainly this is not limiting any ability to vote. It really is really it's a cost saver for both the city as well as the candidates who are running. So that's my comment on it. City Council? Councilmember Hauser, I know you worked the election, so you probably have some perspective on this.
I do, and one of the questions I have is can you advise us, and maybe the public, what a cost is for a primary election like this? What would the city typically incur?
Well, the costs will be the same whether it's a November election or an August election or any kind of election.
Right.
They just get bigger towards presidential because of the number of workers that you need. So it's a little hard, I'm guessing, because we've made so many changes. It's gone up, it's gone down. I'm saying around $15,000 to $20,000
Right.
is what the cost is.
That's a lot.
So,
It is a lot of money
That's a
for.
lot of money.
It is, and for a primary, for a city council, I would be in support of this as well. So to that end, I would make a motion to, the consideration to amend the charter to eliminate the city council election primaries consistent with the proposal that's included in our packet, the language.
Okay, so adopt the resolution and direct city clerk and city attorney to take the necessary steps.
That's correct.
I'll support.
Support by Councilmember Trent. Any other discussion or questions on this? Councilmember King?
I'm just curious, from prior elections when we did have primaries, how many candidates did we start with and end up with? Does it get it down to, like 8?
correct.
And then, do we have great what's the turnout? Do we have any sort of percentages on the history?
So historically, since I've been here for 24 years, we've only had one time that there's been a local primary. That was 2007.
Okay.
So not a lot of data to go from. So
That's a good
it's
data
not-
point.
It's not
that
something
is.
that's, we're not throwing out something that's widely used.
I think that's a good data point. Okay, thank you.
And if I may.
Hold on,
I'm
Mayor Pro
sorry.
Tem.
Yeah, I would just say, using 2007 data though, with the absentee ballots is probably
Yeah.
not apples to oranges anymore.
Absolutely, it is not.
I was just gonna say, I was on the council, but not up for election that time. There was 10 people. People campaigned like crazy, and it went from 10 to 8. And then they had to do it all over again. And
Yeah.
It just didn't seem, at that time, it didn't seem like there was much point in it. We're saving money, and also, we're putting this on the ballot, and the people will get a voice on this. So I will support this as well.
Absolutely. Councilmember Hauser.
I was going to say the same thing. For this year, there was a potential 9th person. There would have been a primary to reduce the number of people to 8 on the ballot. So all that money would have been spent to take away one person. So I agree with everyone what you said, Mr. Dixon.
Thank you. City Clerk, the roll call.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes. All right, moving on to reports and regular business. Item A is consideration of a termination and release of an easement for 203 East University. Again, City Attorney.
Yes, thank you. Before you today is a request and a document to terminate and release an easement. Currently, the city has an easement at 203 East University. More specifically, this is the depot building, and more specifically, it deals with just the plaza area. So a number of years ago, in fact, 1993 to be exact, the then owners of 203 East University gave an easement to the city to maintain and to plant and to just maintain that plaza area, as it was thought that it would be pedestrian used a fair amount. The now owners of that property are trying to, they're before planning commission for new use. And so this kind of brought it to the attention as, well, the city has this easement, and from talking to people that really, the city really isn't interested in taking that ability to maintain and not on this is the Christmas tree, you guys call it the Rochester Christmas tree area. I know that there was some work done by the DDA just recently there was some promise of plantings and to update it before this would be turned over, if it does get turned back over, or I guess the easement would be terminated. So the city and the DDA have no interest or need to continue with this. And to clean up the record, then it would be, the proposal is to authorize the signing and the recording of the termination and release of easement so that their city is no longer the party in control of that maintenance. I don't know if the city manager has something to say, but the form to do that is very simple. It just references where in the register of deeds that the easement is found, and it just says we release that easement.
City manager?
Thank you. A couple of months ago, at the site plan committee meeting of the DDA, we talked about their goals and objectives when they were talking about that. They're looking to consolidate where they spend their money on different things. So they wanted to focus on the two parks that we have that they control at University and Walnut and Fourth and University. Talked to Mr. Sackmar, Mr. Smith's family that owned this. They were the ones paying for the maintenance of everything. Bart used to take care of it. So when Grant Koch came in and said he wanted to lease the building from the Sackmars, then he asked if he could turn that into outside dining, and they said, so they officially passed the resolution that took themselves out of any form of participation in that part, which allowed Grant to go to Planning Commission, which was approved to do outdoor dining there. So again, so they are out of it officially. And again, the city had, Attorney Kratz said we don't have any need for it there. And they're going to turn into an area that they will be open to the community. Mr. Koch said at the Planning Commission meeting last week. So he wants people to be able to sit there, read a book, come outside. If they get something in his store, they'd be able to do that. So we're in support of this 100%.
Council? Councilmember Trent?
I think it's I was on the DDA board when they spoke about this, and I think it's a good thing to release that and terminate release of the easement. So I would make a motion for the consideration of the termination and release of the easement to the city of Rochester on 203 East University.
Motion by Trent,
Support.
support by Sage. Any other discussions or questions? City Clerk, the roll call.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. So I think that's going to be an improvement to that site there and another cool place to grab something to eat and drink and maybe take a stop off the Paint Creek Trail and go there. So can't wait to have it fully open. Item B is consideration to award CDBG funds to MISWA for the Park Path Improvement Project. So everybody loves to say CDBG.
Community block grant.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. Yeah, we're here this evening to award this year's CDBG project to Mizra Paving, once normally known as Boeing Paving. So if you kind of see in your bid packet, that's why you see that name change. So this year's project is a municipal park path. Total amount is $121,580. The majority of this project will be paid out of the grant. You can see in there it's $100,179.92, and the remaining balance of this project will come out of path maintenance. So this evening we're looking to award the project to Mizra.
And if you could elaborate on what paths we're focused on here, there's a map in our packet.
Yeah, so exactly. So you see the map, and that building to the right is our park maintenance garage. So then it'll travel down towards the river to the walking bridge, just probably maybe 20, 30 feet away from the walking bridge is where we'll stop. And then it'll travel back to the right of the building. Heading back would be east. So be two portions of the path that will get replaced.
Okay. Council, any actions on this?
So moved.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem,
Support.
support by Councilmember Hauser. Any other questions or discussion? Councilmember Trent?
Just a quick one. I mean, it's going to Bowen, but there's a client on my list, on this list of mine, so I think I should probably recuse myself. I mean, it's not.
City Attorney?
I think that's fair.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, okay.
It's not Bowen, but
Right.
just think I
Sure.
should just go ahead and stay out of it. Yeah.
So I will make a motion to allow, or to have Councilperson Trent recuse herself from this vote.
I support.
Okay. So we have two motions.
So you'll vote on the abstain motion
Yep.
first.
Okay.
Salvia,
Yes?
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes?
Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
And then now on the floor is the motion to approve the,
Any other questions or discussion on the motion to award the funds? City Clerk, the roll call.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent abstain.
That's right. Thank you. Motion passes, so
Thank you.
let's get our trails, our paths improved.
Yay.
Item C, this is an error on my part. I did not see when I reviewed the agenda that this was on the agenda, and we had asked administration to do a more comprehensive review regarding our vehicle and revolving equipment fund. So City Clerk, I don't know if we can pull it or if we need a motion to table it.
I think just direction from the chair to postpone this.
If we could postpone it, thank you. All right, item D, consideration of a resolution to allow the city to participate in the fire insurance withholding program. I know City Council received some information on this. It's in our packet, and I see Chief Cieslik approaching to enlighten us on this new program.
With the help of the city attorney, we both got enlightened about 6 or 7 weeks ago when we were working with the property owner on Al Street in regards to the fire that we had there and trying to get some closure on where we were at from an insurance payout, what we were going to do with the building. If you've been by there, you know it's a hazardous condition, and we were trying to go ahead and get it rectified. It came to our attention with working with the insurance company as a reminder that there is this insurance withholding program. And speaking with the attorney, about 10 or 11 years ago, when this first came into being, the city of Rochester opted not to participate in it, only because we have so few fires, and I like it that way, and to go ahead and have the funds. But as we've seen in the last few years, the insurance companies continue to go ahead and do their best into not paying insurance claims. In other words, they seem to want to put blame on a different insurance company so they're not having to pay it. So a prime example was the house fire that we had on Terry Street. And that building sat there for well over a year in a hazardous condition, and we, as the city, couldn't do anything about it. In this case, the house on Alice Street has been that way since the beginning of November. And so what this does, and hope what the city attorney can pipe in too, but this gives us up to 25% of the insurance claim. In the case on Alice Street, it was a fairly sizable chunk of money that we could then use as the city to render the building safe. We could make repairs depending on what repairs were needed. We could tear it down or at least go ahead and render the property safe until the insurance settlements and everything were finished. The money would end up having to go into an escrow account that the city would hold, and then at the end of the claims, when everything is settled, then the city would refund back to the property owner any funds that were not used from that standpoint. Maybe the city attorney can opine a little bit more on that.
Okay. Yes, what the fire chief has said is correct. It is 25% of the insurance claim. And I believe it would actually end up being paid, the city could pay it to the contractor that's going to be fixing it. So this is, so don't think of this as the city's going to get this money and immediately go start doing work on it. The city doesn't want to go and hire contractors to work on private property. This is kind of okay, you have the opportunity, to do this. If you don't, then the city would get in and make it into a safe condition, whether it's level, grade it. And I would say when we looked through this, it was remarkable. I mean, there's pages and there's a listing on the state's website of all the municipalities that are part of this. And we are one of the, I would say one of the minorities that haven't participated. And there's certainly some that aren't, but there was pages and pages of just listing of all these communities that participate in this. I don't see a downside to it. So when I looked, the Department of Insurance and Financial Services actually had posted a sample resolution that, because it has to have certain language in. And so this one before you is modeled after that resolution. Really, the city's cost, if there is one, would be to open an escrow account if there's ever money that the city, they would have to identify, like what escrow account. And what happens is, if this is approved, it goes to the state, and then the state adds us to that list, and then that gets published, I think, every month. And so then insurance companies will then know we are now on the list, so they should get us the payout. So I don't see any downside. Risk cost is very minimal, and I think it may light a fire under people to get work done.
That's bad.
That's not probably the best way to do that. So that would be, and listen, people, the problem is people could take the insurance money and just not do anything with it, and then try to market their house as a tear down and as dirt, and meanwhile the neighbors look and deal with it, and they're not taking work. So if there's 25% of the money, at least the city has some means of making it safe if work is not progressed appropriately.
Council questions? Councilmember Jones?
Just more of a statement, I guess. So this is such a great protection for the city, however it was stumbled upon. Certainly happy that it was. I don't see any downsides to it. And it's a shame that you are in this position, we as a city are in this position where someone wouldn't use the funds that they received to fix it. So it's a great protection for the city.
What we see that we would do, in all honesty, would be initially clean up the site, make sure that the building was secured, put up some sort of a fence to keep people out, put some sort of fabric in it to try to go ahead and hide things as much as we could. And then if we got to the point, as the attorney was mentioning, that there were delays in getting things taken care of, then the city would have an option to go ahead and help jumpstart some of the process of what's going on.
So my question for the city attorney is there any language that needs to change in our ordinances in terms of communication and working with the property owners? I want to be cautious about a property owner feeling like the city is doing something on their property, using their insurance money to do something on their property that maybe they didn't want or weren't expecting. Obviously, we need to keep it safe, but I'm concerned about that communication and the timeline and when that would take place.
It's an interesting thought, and not a bad one to maybe put in, because the city does have a fire code section that we could put in there, that the city is a participant in the fire insurance withholding program, and then we could just do maybe just even a short paragraph that says what that means. And then I don't see any reason why we couldn't add that to that.
It's a good idea to go ahead and use that concept.
Councilmember Hauser.
On that same thought, as we review and look at our blight ordinance that we've been talking about, is this maybe a possible inclusion in that as well as, any structure that's been damaged by fire that remains unfinished or unrehabilitated for 30 days, or whatever it is, some time frame, include that. Maybe, Chief, that helps you out a little bit.
Actually, Councilperson, I think there's actually some language in our current blight ordinance.
Okay.
In regards to fire damage, but to your point, to reinforce it a little bit more and to go ahead and, as the city attorney is saying, we could put a statement in it just to kind of highlight that process. And of course, we wouldn't do this without consulting with the property owner and let them know what we're doing. And really, first, the thing that is we're doing is protecting the general public from the hazardous building. And from that standpoint, and I would certainly think that the property owner would like to reduce as much liability as they have by having a fence in the area cleaned up and those things also.
Councilmember King?
So, I think this is great for the city, but I'm a little bit concerned just for the property owners. If there's instances of, one, they're in a dispute with their insurance, or two, there's a disagreement on the path forward between like a property being torn down or rehabilitated. I would hate for, somebody thinking that they're gonna be rehabilitating it, they're going through the process of doing that, we come in and knock the house down. I'm not saying that like we would just go and do that, but I just don't know what protections there are for the homeowner. That to me, I think, like, we need to understand, what does our ordinance say? Like, we need more here. This makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
There's some of those rules are currently in the standard right now from the insurance company, and really, the thought process that the city attorney and I talked about was really not looking at going, let's go tear the building down. It's like, let's make the site safe, right? Which is, in many cases, not a huge cost, but it's a cost that needs to get done from that standpoint.
I don't disagree with that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going, and I'm thinking if all these other municipalities do it, they probably have some language in there, and that we just probably need to review what language they use and incorporate that. That's kind of where my thoughts were as well. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, so actually that one Chief talked about was almost directly across from my house. And it was just outrageous that it sat there for a year, burned down, unsafe, and there's nothing that anybody could do about it. And the neighbors who had their house burned down didn't want that. I mean, they wanted to get something done. I mean, they were almost embarrassed by it, but there was, insurance companies are now slow paying these things. So I think we absolutely need to, if we need to look at some ordinances, that's fine, but we're protecting the neighbors, but we're also protecting, there's kids and stuff. It was just a burnt out site with nothing around it for a year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, City Attorney, how would this expedite insurance funds? I know insurance funds can be very slow and forthcoming, but if we're participating this in the city, does it come quicker? We can access the 25%, or is it the same timeline?
That's a great question that I don't know the answer to because we haven't done it here. In fact, what I would suggest is maybe we bring this back in the next meeting or so to not only talk to, or to look at what other communities, how they've referenced it, if they have. It's a state program, so they may not have references, but at least we can vet a handful to see. And also, maybe what we can do is to talk to some of our surrounding communities that have utilized this and give an impact of, provide you with what their experience has been in going through this. Because that's the practical, right? This is on paper, but what you're saying is how does this practically work? How is it practically worked? And maybe we can talk to some of our surrounding communities and find that out.
Great. Councilmember?
Just one other comment. So this isn't something you're doing a month after a house burns down.
Oh,
This is,
absolutely
just to
not.
clarify, this is a house that's sat a long time, and you would be communicating with the owner as you have
Sure.
with the one you just spoke about. So
But
nothing would be done without their
Yeah.
knowledge.
But one of the things that I would suggest that we would do is be a little bit more aggressive within the law to go ahead and render the site safe,
Yeah,
okay?
right.
An example is with that site being left open, and there's debris that may be laying around, and, that's next to St. John Lutheran School. Not to say that kids are walking by, they're going to school and things, to go ahead and render it safe. We very well may do that quickly, right? An example is we try to work with the homeowner or the property owner almost immediately to go ahead and render the property safe, and I would reference the fire that we had on South Street when the one house burned. We had the fence up within a week because the insurance company was very, very thoughtful about getting it done from that standpoint. So it's a little bit of give and take, but I think this just gives us another tool in the toolbox.
Right.
That we probably need to refine a little bit more from hearing the comments tonight and along with the city attorney. But I think it's something that we do need to do because an example on how fast the investigation is done is how quickly can we determine the actual cause of the fire. If it's an accidental fire, it's normally pretty quick, but if it was, we think it might have been the charging device for the computer. So now other insurance company is looking to sue the computer company, the charging company. In the case of the house on Terry Street, there were probably 4 or 5 other people that were brought into that lawsuit for the insurance, and that's what caused things to drag on. So it's kind of hit and miss, but I'm really looking to protect the residents in the area, the general public, and in all honesty, the property owner, because now at least then they can get some things done that also provide some protection for themselves.
And in the case I think you referred to, they collected the insurance money and they still have done nothing to the location. So this is where we need to protect us and the
Yeah.
other citizens around.
And in some cases, this was a case to where, when I spoke with the insurance company, they would have sent us the check quicker than they would have sent to the property owner because there was some disputes yet that needed to be solved. But it was fairly cut and dry that we would have gotten our 25%, which meant that we could have got some things being done ahead of time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So it sounds like we're going to bring that one back, do a little more
Madam Mayor,
research.
if I might, just to give you an update on the
Yes.
house on Alice Street. Working with the insurance company and talking to the general contractor, that house is getting ready to be demolished. They'll be submitting plans to rebuild the house pretty much exactly what it was. We're waiting on the architect to go ahead and bring those plans together. This is a case to where the insurance company wouldn't have paid for the architectural plans unless the city requested it. So working with the building department, we've made those requests. We also went ahead and got the insurance company to put up a fence around the area as quickly as we can. We hope that'll happen sometime in the next week or so, and then they'll start working on the property. But it'll be a duplex being built pretty much exactly what it was right now to be returned to that site.
Good.
So,
It's a good update.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our next item. Item E this is mayor nominations to boards and commissions. City Clerk, thank you for your work to get the applicants and summarize it and send us the tables and the applications. Could you just give us an overview of what we're looking at tonight?
Sure, Your Honor. Before you this evening is your annual nominations and appointments to boards and commissions. You have mayoral nominations and then city council. You do not have an ordinance or a written policy on how you have to handle this process. Historically, you have made nominations on the first meeting of May and then confirm the nominations at your second meeting in May. However, last year, to our surprise, you did both on the same evening, and that's your prerogative if you'd like to do that again. You all have had these applications for a month to review. I would guess that the prior way that was handled was to give council members a chance to review the applications in that 2-week period, but you've already had that, so if you want to handle it that way, you can.
Okay, so I'll start with the mayor nominations, and City Clerk, do I need to do each separately, or can I run through the whole list?
You can run through the whole list.
Okay, I'm running through the whole list. All right. Starting with Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, I'd like to nominate Christian Hauser. We still have 2 openings on this. The Cemetery Advisory Board, I'd like to nominate Susan Eaton. We have 4 openings on the Cemetery Advisory Board. On City Beautiful, I would like to renew Susan Butella, Julia Johnson, Sandra Montes, Janine Offer, Laura Murphy, and very exciting, we have students who are going to join our City Beautiful Commission. So I would like to nominate 2 students, Natalie Sapp and Emma Loosevelt. I think they're both from Stony Point, or Stony Creek.
Correct.
So that is City Beautiful. Moving on to the Construction Board of Appeals, I'd like to nominate Tom Serzwinski. On the downtown and there are still 2 openings on the Construction Board of Appeals. Moving on to the Downtown Development Authority, I would like to renew, we have 3 seats where we're renewing, so Robert Bloomingdale, Paul Haig, and Roger Knapp. We have 1 other seat that is open. We have a pending application, so
I just got that this afternoon.
you did get it.
I did.
Okay, so I am going to nominate Missy Plez. So those 4 seats. Moving on to Historical Commission. So we've got a couple of historical committees. This is the commission, which is responsible for, part of their scope is Heritage Days. So really looking to, I'll say, staff this one up. We have 4 openings. There are a total of 6 seats available. And so I'm nominating Donald Washewski and Julia Johnson. And again, we still have 4 openings there. On the OPEB Retirement Board, nominating or renew David Bertlich, who's here this evening. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Parking Advisory Board, renewing Jana Yezak, Roger Stone, and Roger Knapp. So that,
Matthew Stone.
Matthew Stone, I'm sorry. Why did I put that? Matthew Stone. So that board is also full. Planning Commission, we had several applicants. I am nominating the current planning commissioners to renew, so Dave Gasson, Richard Kenzick, and Matt Stone. Moving on to Principal Shopping District, we have 2 seats available, and we had 4 applicants. 2 were not qualified. Principal Shopping District requires a presence, property owner, business in the Principal Shopping District. So nominating Phil Monroe and Lynn Oates. And the last committee for mayor nominations is the Tree Committee. We have 1 seat available and nominating Jeannie Offer.
I think Jeannie Offer does not live in town anymore.
Janine? Yeah, she does.
Does she?
Yeah. Janine,
Thought she moved.
that's
I
Janine
don't
off
know.
of Crop, isn't it? Isn't that
Yeah.
Janine Crop?
Yeah,
Oh, she's in Rochester.
I mean, I could check her
Jeannie
address
Offer.
on her
Right
application.
on the edge of
That was the
Rochester.
offer on Terry Street. I'm sorry if that's the
No.
wrong
Is
person.
that
Oh,
a different
okay.
one?
I thought that was Janine off of Crop, the one that we.
She, yeah, I remember from her application, she definitely lives in Rochester. Different person. Okay, so those are my nominations. Councilmember King?
Quick question, PSD, do we have, I thought there were like a couple spots that were maybe not business owners
That's the
or
DDA.
something.
That's the DDA.
only, not
Yep.
PSD, okay.
Yep. DDA is a mix, and we have to have a mix,
Yeah.
but not PSD. So those are the nominations. Council, do you want to take a vote on them tonight, or do you want to wait till our second meeting in May, which is the Tuesday after Memorial Day?
I'm fine voting tonight, but I had one more question.
Sure, we'll take your question.
I think you said there was one more application that came in today, Missy Plez?
She
it
just
was
put
from
her on.
Ms.
Yeah.
Plez.
Okay, I don't know if I saw that one, I was just curious.
It came in late, so I'll forward it on to you.
Okay,
They're part of the Rochester Mills
Correct.
okay.
and have experience with markets.
Aye.
Okay. Councilmember?
I'll make a motion to vote on the nominations to the boards and commissions that you just read into the record.
Thank you.
Support?
Support by Councilmember Trent. Any other discussion on the nominations? City Clerk, the roll call.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so all of those applicants are notified via email?
Yes, this
Thank you.
week.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to city council nominations. And again, for those boards that I mentioned that there are still openings, people can still apply.
Yes.
In particular, I'm looking for historical commission people, because we're going to have a lot of fun with America 250. So we want to have some dynamic people on that board. All right, city council, do you have any nominations?
I did have a question.
Sure.
The Historic District Commission,
does it have a usefulness currently?
City Clerk, we did have some discussion on that as to whether it needed to be activated. And I think the thought was, if we could have a few people on it, I'm going to review at the next meeting some other committees that probably need to be sundowned, but I kind of felt like it should probably just stay there. We do have a historic building that is currently vacant, a very big one.
Okay.
Any other nominations from council?
Other than those listed?
Well, so I'm looking for nominations for Board of Ethics,
We have to say. these
Board of
names.
Review, actually, there's no seats
have to s-
available. Historic District, Paint Creek Trailways,
Oh,
and the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I will support the renewal of Dr. Becker for the
Okay.
Trailway.
Thank you. Do we have any nominations for Zoning Board of Appeals? Councilmember Hauser?
I will nominate the renewals for David Gasson, Cody Smith, and Jay Hu.
And Jay is the alternate?
Yes.
Thank you. And anything on Historic District? Councilmember Trent?
I'll nominate David Gasson to renew and Julia Johnson
Okay.
as a new applicant for the Historical District Commission.
Then the last one was Board of Ethics. There were 2 applicants for the Board of Ethics.
Really? Is it one?
There's only one listed on here. There were 2 applicants, Rosie Revelle and Don Anderson.
I see, I'm sorry, if I may. So, Mr. Anderson is also an applicant and one of the possible 2 seats here to be filled? Okay, so I'll just nominate Mr. Anderson and Ms. Ravel for the 2 seats available for the Board of Ethics.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other nominations from council? Do we have a motion to vote them in?
I will make a motion to vote in the members who were just nominated and by the city council members.
Thank you. Motion by Hauser,
Support.
support by Trent. City Clerk?
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have some new people and renewed people serving our community. That's pretty exciting. All right, moving on to our reports from various boards and commissions. We have the Principal's Shopping District. Councilmember Jones.
I wrote all over my agenda, so I'm trying to gather my thoughts here. We had a lot to discuss, but we started by talking about the budget being approved after lots of hard work on that budget, so there's lots of happiness that we're moving forward with the budget as presented. They have a couple things coming up. Farmers Market opened last week, and 2 weeks ago, I guess, the first Saturday in May. They had 55 vendors. In the first half hour, all the tote bags were given up, people were lined up. They said it was very successful in the new location with some quirks. So they said they do have a few things they have to work on, and it will only get better. Deck art is going on as we speak this week, is when they will be out and about. You can look in all the different businesses. There's 350 decks, and they will all have a location in downtown Rochester. And that is Thursday and Friday night of this week. And the Paint Creek Center for the Arts will do the judging. 51 businesses are displaying the decks, and I got to look at some of the decks that were kind of in the final judging stage, and absolutely incredible, the creativity. June 21st, from 10 to 6 is the Maker's Mark. She already has 44 vendors that will be involved in that. And then No Filter will be starting on June 5th. And I guess that's mostly what they talked about. They are doing a lot with art, with the DDA. Love Local Art is what it's called, that new committee that's been formed to try and put a plan of art that will be consistent throughout the city. And so we look forward to some exciting things coming up for that. I know you weren't there, but I hopefully didn't miss anything. I think I got it all.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's a
Thank you.
lot in those meetings, I gotta tell you.
Absolutely. We've got some fresh faces joining that committee. Councilmember Hauser, Planning Commission.
Certainly. Okay, so we had our Planning Commission meeting on May 5th, 2005. There were a few issues that we talked about. First of all was the proposed site plan for some really nice upgrades and a new use for the train depot that we talked about earlier. The owner came in and provided his concept, and it was approved. One point that I want to make to my colleagues and the public, there is a very large blue spruce tree that is in the plaza, actually was in the easement that we talked about a little bit ago. It's in that area that the city is now giving back. The site plan calls for that spruce tree to be removed. And at first, everyone kind of had a sense of disappointment, but we were told that it's diseased. I think it has needle cast, I believe it's called. And so it's unfortunately not going to be able to be saved, but that was one thing that was a concern, but obviously there's nothing we can do about it. So that tree will be removed as part of the redevelopment. Second project that came before us was proposed site plan for the former Smith Jewelers building over on Main Street there. They have an idea, some concepts about a new business on the retail on the bottom and then offices on top. And the site plan would include renovations to both the front elevation and the rear elevation off the alley. That was passed, and that matter was set for public hearing at a future Planning Commission meeting. And then a couple other quick things I want to just bring to the public's attention. If anyone was watching, I think it was back in the April meeting, there was discussion about the Cottage and Pizza building, on how they had unilaterally gone and made changes without coming before Planning Commission. I noticed that they have restored the structure to its original condition. So that's done. Whether or not they come back to Planning Commission, I'll never know until they show up. But nevertheless, I want my colleagues and the public to know that they did in fact restore the structure to its original version, which I presume lifted the stop notice, and then they can operate their business, okay? And then finally, the biggest issue, frankly, that's before Planning Commission lately is the zoning issues, okay? And those meetings, the June 2nd, 2025 meeting, we will be revisiting the zoning map and the ordinance changes. So to the extent that people have been reaching out to us, let them know that June 2nd, 2025 is the meeting. I believe the city is going to provide us with an update as to how the office hours went and the status of that, and so we'll be able to relay that information. But again, June 2nd, 2025 will be the next meeting for Planning Commission that the zoning map will be discussed. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. And then just as a refresher on this process, so once that gets through Planning Commission, and it may be June 2nd, it may be later than that, Planning Commission may need another bite at that apple, then it will come to City Council, and we will go through the same process on the ordinance language and the future land use map. So it'll be our turn to work through that as well. Councilmember Jones,
Just a quick question on the Smith building. There was discussion, I know, about, is there original brick that they can use in the front of the building? Are they going to come back to you, or is there going to be a revisit on, can they leave, go back to the original brick on the building?
Yes.
Yeah, so they took a panel down, looked, the bricks there, it had 5 layers of paint, and Commissioner Gasson, being an architect, and myself, we kind of raised our hand, like, you can get paint off a brick. They tried that already. It's a real soft brick. They're going to try corn blasting it possibly. Well, we just did at Third and.
Yeah, I was going to say, they did an amazing job.
You can't use regular sandblast, use corn blasting, so they have committed to attempt that.
Okay.
They don't think it's a good possibility that's going to happen, but that was part of the presentation that we would like to do. We're putting him in touch with Pat McKay, so we can find any historical pictures we can to show them, and they were open to it. But they tried initially, architect was he was a good guy. He said he was open to it, so absolutely.
So if possible, they're going to do all efforts for that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so moving on to general and miscellaneous. So Chief Jason, Marcy, any comments from the back row back there? No, thank you. City.
Does the CAT committee want to make a report?
I was gonna give an update from, or unless you want to.
Sounds like we're going to have a CAT committee update. Let's have a tag team from the chief and Councilmember King.
Well, the chief gave an update to the CAT committee today, and it sounds like we're making good progress in the Castell Street area, so.
It's spring, so
Yes, and it's necessary. I think they have rehomed recently and 8 cats.
So I
Kittens.
just want to make sure I'm giving
Kittens.
out the correct facts.
Yeah.
So off of Castell, we've been able to relocate and adopt 8 kittens. We've treated and taken care of 5 adult cats. According to our cat census, there was 2 more that we still need to capture and to go ahead and treat. But we're still on those and hoping to go ahead and get that done. So we're continuing to make efforts. Once we get Castell under control, the plan would be next to take a look at moving over to Charles. Because we know that we have a small colony over there. And
Really, on Charles?
Councilperson King, any reports from Griggs on how things have been over there?
I haven't heard of, concerns or issues. I think the number that made it through the winter has gone down a little bit. There may be a few less than what we had at the end of last year. But they still seem to be out. They're on their feeding schedule. So I've noticed, I don't hear them fighting in the alleys like they were doing, last year. It seems to have calmed down a bit.
They're getting along better.
I think so. I think so.
I have a
That
quick
boy's
question.
not out causing
Well,
trouble.
yeah, and I think the primary number of cats we've taken off Castell have been, at the polite way that Christian told me to talk about it, is are the boys looking for dates? Those have all been, I think, taken care of. But we still have 2 more that we're trying to get from the Castell area. So I think the big thing is the 10 kittens, that definitely should make a hit on reducing the total numbers and things. So appreciate all the support from the cat committee, and I think we are making efforts and good humane efforts in getting things under control. Not there yet, but we're gonna keep working at it, so.
I
That's
have a
good.
quick
Sounds
question.
like those
I
little
have a
kitties
quick
have some new
question.
homes. Yes.
So do you have one house that's doing the ground feeding then?
We have nobody at this point in time that have asked to ground feed at this point,
But because of the new ordinance, there's not ground feeding going on then, correct?
that we're aware of.
Okay.
I mean,
So I wonder how-
I'm only gonna tell you what I know.
Right.
And I'm sure there's things that go on out there that I don't know about, but,
So that probably
so we're
hasn't
going to,
changed.
we're gonna properly, turn up the politeness on our new standard, and at this point in time, there's been no request for anybody to be an authorized feeder.
That's unfortunate.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Looks like you're making
Thank you.
progress.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right, city clerk,
I don't have anything as long as you're going to cover Memorial Day.
why don't you talk about it?
Okay. Memorial Day is 2
I'll
weeks
talk about
from
it too.
today,
Yeah.
and we have our annual event at 8 a.m. at Mount Avon Cemetery. Immediately following that event will be the parade that will transition from Mount Avon down to Rochester Hills, Avon and Livernois. And then following that event, Fire Chief is having hot dogs at the fire station from 11:30 to 1, and he requests an RSVP. That information is out on our website, so if you forget and you need to follow up, it's out there.
Wonderful, thank you. City manager?
Just one thing, we noted how nice the weather's getting here. Gentle reminder to anybody watching, code enforcement's very important to our council and to our residents. We've already had 112 cases from the beginning of the year. We haven't even started with grass yet, so people need to be mindful. We look, now starting in the spring, we'll go around. Remember, if your grass is over 6 inches, we're going to give you a gentle hanger on your door that says you have 5 days to cut it. If not, we cut it and send you a bill. You don't want us to cut your grass. It's not cheap. It's on overtime. So peeling paint, debris in your rear yard, great time for spring cleanup. If we can get ahead of that, we would like to have 0 code enforcement cases by the end of the summer. If everybody just takes care of their own property, I think we would be in good shape. Commercially, we sent out a letter saying, hey, we're looking at parking lots, striping, handicap signs, landscaping, things like that. So, again, we've been doing this for years. It's just, seems like some years are better than others. We're off to not a great start, but we're going to get on it. So, just a gentle reminder. That's it. And
Thank
hope
you.
everybody had a great Mother's Day.
Please stay on that, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
City attorney?
Just a supplement to the charter amendment on the primary elections. I know I put it in my memo, but for purposes of notifying the audience, if that passes, the charter amendment passes, there are also some regular code sections that will have to be tweaked. those don't go to the voters, but we wouldn't bring those before you unless and until the charter amendment passes. So if someone says, wait, you got something in the code, we know about it, and we'll take care of that. We'll bring it back to city council, those ordinance amendments, if and when that charter amendment passes. So just wanted to close that loop.
Good point. Councilmember King?
So aside from the cat update, I was just gonna share, I had reached out to Nick and Chief Rohib this week, last week, and Chief was all over it. We had an unfortunate situation in the Grigg Street area. There was a young, girl in our neighborhood. Thankfully, she's okay, but she was hit by a car that was coming out of one of the alleys. It has a fence there right up until the edge. You really have to like come to a full stop and check. So I think it's just, she walked away from it, which is great. But I think it's a really good reminder that this time of year, kids are out, people are out with their dogs, a lot of people on, kids on bikes, and just being more careful. The chief went around the entire neighborhood, checked all of the alleys. A number of them have visibility issues due to landscaping, so they're going to work with, I think actually fire chief may be out working with residents to make some changes there to make the area a little bit safer. And then DPW is working to create some signs for the area where there's the fence. So that way, at least there's another point reminding people to slow down and to look for, pedestrians.
That's a great.
Thank you. That is a great reminder, because it's spring and we're all happy and not paying attention. We got to slow down, focus, and, because there's people everywhere. So it's great. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, this Saturday, I think, was maybe the first weekend day, and I was on the tennis courts, and the tennis courts were full, and then all the playgrounds were full, and there was a dog convention in the park.
It was the Wiener Walk.
It was. It was. I first thought, man, there's a lot of people with the same kind of dogs. But they were noisy, I might add, some of them. But the park looked very nice. So thanks to the city for keeping it nice, and it was just a great show for Rochester, I thought. Thank you.
Sure did. Councilmember Sage.
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. Councilmember Jones.
A couple things. One, since we had a nonprofit here tonight, I just wanted to say to the fellow council people, I've been organizing that about once a month, once every month. If you have a nonprofit in the Rochester area you'd like to have featured, let me know. We have some updates on the skate park. We did meet. We had a Zoom with the California company doing it. And tomorrow night, if anybody's interested, at 7 o'clock, we're having a meeting here with the community to get their input. The 3 designs will be shown, and questions will be asked, and we'll take input from the community on which designs they liked and anything they want to have added or distracted or taken off. And am I missing anything? Is that good? Okay. So that's 7 o'clock here tomorrow night. Speaking about mental health, and you mentioned this, Mayor, we did the first Rochester Community Schools Health and Wellness Fair. The same day there was the planting. That was a very busy day, and it was so successful. There were 31 vendors. I think we had between 300 and 400 people who came. There was great participation. We are definitely going to do it again next year. Everyone who came wants to come back next year. So there was a great focus tying into this month of mental health. That was in the month of May. Saturday was a really exciting day to working towards the celebration of the 250th anniversary of our country, and we did headstone cleaning at the cemetery. That sounds like a fun way to spend a Saturday, but it was amazing. Thanks to Jason, he helped throughout the day. He helped prepare for it. And then Dave Carter, who's our caretaker of the cemetery, brought 7 people with him to manage the about 25 students that we had there between robotics and Boy Scouts. And Marilyn came and took pictures, and she did an article, so we're thankful to her. And you could just feel the excitement. It was a very exciting day. So we've started the process of cleaning the headstones, and that's in the old part of the cemetery, including the 3 Revolutionary soldiers that are buried there. We'll have another day of doing it as we prepare for next year's big event. So that was really exciting.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I thank you, Jason, for that, and it seemed like it was done very respectfully, which is really important.
And the
So
students
thank you.
were fascinated by the graves and the family names, and they Googled up the family names and did research, and they were very excited. And there was also bagels in the morning and then pizza. The Daughters of the American Revolution know how to do these events. I got to tell you, there was a lot of food involved. So
Feed them, they
we
will
thank
come.
them, and I definitely want to thank them for their participation in all of this.
Thank you. Councilmember Trent?
Yes, I was there, and it was quite an event, and the tombstones are looking very nice, the ones that they cleaned. It was amazing
Yeah,
how well they clean
amazing.
up. So I would be remiss, and I have to go through my long list of thank yous for the last time. On May 3rd, we had Rochester's first mini forest was completely planted, and in the morning, and it was celebrated with a ribbon cutting in the afternoon. As Mayor Salvia so aptly said, as she was planting a tree with her shovel, with her niece, Becca, she said it was a dream come true, which I totally agree, and it was a true collaboration, bringing together Rochester City Beautiful Commission, the Rochester Tree Committee, Rochester Pollinators, the Rochester High School Green Club, the Boy Scouts, North Oakland Wild Ones, and the Stony Creek chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and the ribbon cutting, which was sponsored by the Tree Committee, Rochester Chamber of Commerce, and City Beautiful Commission, with over 100 people who attended, including most of the city council members here. And also, I would like to give a heartfelt thank you to the 35 volunteers who showed up to plant those 290 native trees and shrubs. Every person made a difference, and they did it within less time than we thought. It was a very cold day, and they all hung in there. Including Councilmember Hauser, who's had symptoms of high level of happiness and exhilaration.
I want to see those symptoms of high level happiness.
I have a
As
picture.
soon as the meeting's over.
Everyone seemed to have that. It was inspiring to see people of all ages working side by side, building something lasting and restorative for our little corner of the world. I hope people will come and visit our little mini forest on Woodward behind the community garden and see how fast it will grow. So I also could not have done it without the DPW, and a few people sitting in the audience, our supporter, our DPW Director, Nick Schaefer, and then also Jason Dickinson, Colin Pettit, and Carrie Martin are not here, but they had the great attitude, and they were out planting as well, as they also part of the team that prepared it. However, I do have one last warning. You might have the following side effects when you participate in our community projects, and they do have a tendency to have side effects like building positive relationships and having a sense of belonging and well-being and exuberance, as Councilman Hauser will testament. He called me, he texted me, 8:00 or 9, he goes, "I'm coming early."
I did.
Well, that's because he's up at 5 a.m. I know.
It's because he had too much coffee, and he goes, "I gotta dig something." Yeah.
I have to backtrack for 1 minute. I'm sorry, I know you're done.
I'm done.
I forgot to say something that's extremely important, and that's the development of the Lions Park that's over by the Rewald Construction and Sons and the Royal Park. And so we do have our schedule for the summer, and they're calling it Bites and Beats by Paint Creek. And there will be bands starting on June 12th, and then there's 6 total dates that there'll be music there. The ribbon cutting is on May 29th at 4 o'clock. That's been in the chamber information, so we would love people to support this. The Rochester Mills will be having food for sale as well as cocktails for sale, and we're looking forward to being very exciting. It's going to be from 6:30 to 8:30, so the residents won't have late-night music playing, and I think it's going to be a great success, so come.
I think so.
Come.
I like the new name.
I like the
It's
new
good.
name, too.
I do, too.
Yeah,
Bites
and
and
we're not
Beats.
competing with the
Music in the park.
Kiwanis Music in the Park,
They're
which
different.
also is starting about the same time this summer. So lots of music in Rochester.
Oh, sorry, one more thing.
Sorry.
Thank you to Community Lifestyles for showcasing,
yeah.
not just me in my red coat, thank God I wrote, it kind of stands out, don't you think? But it also talks about our city, the mini forest. The Arbor Day, Earth Day, Tree Committee, a mother tree planting as well. So there you go.
Awesome.
That's my last thank you.
Yeah. So Marilyn, truly, we can say it takes a village to
Yes.
plant a forest.
Yes.
Because you recognize the entire village. So thank you.
Sometimes I leave and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I forgot someone. So I think I covered it this time.
Thank you. Councilmember Hauser.
Two things, and I just want to piggyback on what you said, Marilyn. It was an absolute incredible experience, and all the work that you did at that mini forest did not go unnoticed. And I'm being
Thank you.
completely, genuinely
Thanks.
serious.
Yes.
It's an
Hear, hear.
incredible improvement to that area. And I think once the skate park gets done and some other things, that path gets done by the DPW and that the Sugar Maple area there, it's an absolute fantastic use of space. And I think in 3 to 5 years, it's really going to be a place that you're going to want to go and hang out at. So thank you to all the work that you did on that. The second thing I want to do, and this is more just maybe a general comment and maybe to Mr. Craft or Mr. Banda, but there's been a lot of discussion at either the planning commission meetings or I think at the last city council meeting about retail on South Street and those issues. And I guess maybe, Madam Mayor, I don't know if I go through you or not or how this would work, but is there any way that administration or city attorney can provide city council with maybe some direction or possible language to an ordinance change in order to address the issues that have been raised by those businesses as it pertains to ancillary sales? And just something to show us, here's possible language that would be necessary to have in the ordinance, and more importantly, the cadence and the sequence, because we have a planning commission meeting on June 2nd, and we would have a city council meeting right before that. And so if we have to go through planning commission as a first step, I would want to know at the next city council meeting so we can address it on June 2nd, so we don't miss a date. Or if we can just do it through city council. That would be my ask, and I don't know if I ask directly through you or for Madam Mayor.
Yep. So, city manager?
So we would like you to formally, right now, pass a resolution that you ask administration to research, looking into exactly that. That means somebody has to sponsor it. So you are sponsoring that. We will get that language together. I don't know that we'll make it for the June meeting,
Okay.
but we'll do our best.
I understand.
So, we've already obviously had discussion
Yeah.
about it with that. So
Just one.
just please, if you would direct us that formally, we'll
Yep.
go, we'll get it.
So I will
Councilmember Hauser?
make a motion that asking and directing city administration to provide some guidance and the process procedure to address the issues that have been raised by the businesses on South Street as it pertains to the ancillary sales.
Motion by Hauser, support by King. Any other discussion? City clerk, the roll call.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion
Thank you.
passes.
And that's all I've got. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, thank you. So I just have a couple things. Late last week, Jason Warner from the city and myself were at Oakland University. They had a big event talking about their economic impact in Michigan. And so, you know, Oakland University, I view them as one of our important partners. And they were really touting the return on investment, a big number, $1.9 billion of economic impact in Michigan as a result of Oakland University that, you know, they call Rochester their hometown. So that was pretty exciting to be there, be a part of it. I also liked an initiative that Oakland County Dave Coulter talked about, where in Oakland County, he put a big goal out there to have 80% of our high school residents, so 80% of our residents with have a post-high school something, a certificate, a college degree, some sort of post-high school qualifications. And last year, they were at 61%. Their goal was 80, and they're trending towards 70. So that also has a lot of economic impact on Rochester, on Oakland County. So two cool initiatives happening here in Oakland County that we're able to be a part of. Yes, we're excited about Memorial Day and coming together to remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. So I know a lot of people head up north on Memorial Day weekend, but it's Monday morning at 8 o'clock. We'd love to see you there at Mount Avon Cemetery. Council, if you could just let me know if you plan to be there. We will be recognizing any veterans who are there. I have had a couple veterans say, well, I'll be there, but I don't want to be honored. Well, it's important that they let us honor them because it teaches us and allows us to recognize and be patriotic. And patriotism is taught and it's caught. So please invite a veteran. Mayor Pro Tem, can you bring your dad? We would love to have your dad there. He's a World War II, right?
World War II.
World War
Not
II.
many of those left.
Greatest generation. We'd love to have you give him a medal. So that's coming up on Memorial Day, and then this week, Wednesday, we have the Graham groundbreaking at 4 o'clock.
We do.
So, as always, lots of exciting things happening in Rochester. So now I'll move on to a request for closed session for City Council to consider attorney-client privilege letter, and I believe with no intent to return.
I will make a motion.
Motion by Hauser,
Support.
support by Sage. City Clerk, the roll call.
Salvia,
Yes.
Vixen,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Sage,
Yes.
Trent.
Yes.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Can I go fill this up really quickly?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.